Hello. Let me make sure we're on the right page. When you guys drop in, say hello. Let me know how your week is going. And let's see here. Shannon, I see you. Welcome. Give me just a moment here and we will be going. How's your week going? How's tonight? Full moon. Lots of change. Saturn moving into Pisces. It is going to bring a huge shakeup, that's for sure. Hopefully in a good way, though. Welcome. Yeah, this week has been crazy. What have you experienced? Is it relationship crazy? Is it business crazy? What kind of crazy? So I think we've all been there. This week has been interesting, we shall call it. Chelsea, I see you. Welcome. Is it snowing there, Shannon? It's not too bad here, but I can see it going south, though. I think snow is on its merry way. I'm in Stronger Together, right, you guys? Why can't I find this? Fog changing to sleet. That sounds fun. That sounds terrible. All right, we're here tonight, though, to talk about psychic gifts. So, Shannon, you were one of them that asked, do I have those? Yes, everybody has psychic gifts. There isn't anyone who doesn't have one or more gifts. If you know what your gift is, because I know we have lots and lots of practitioners in here, drop it in the chat. If you already know what gift you have or that you most readily access, drop it in the chat. I've heard a couple of other places, including Cindy Dale, call the clairs or the psychic gifts siddhis, which I believe has a Buddhist, and I could be wrong about that, but a Buddhist origin from where that comes from. But basically, siddhis or clairs, no matter how you look at it, are considered quote-unquote mystical powers, and we can oftentimes lose those gifts in between lives. So don't get caught up on past lives, but oftentimes from an original wound, they can be lost. We can turn them off. We can decide to disassociate from them because they caused harm or perceived harm within a specific lifetime. But yes, we all have those gifts. Janessa's in the house. Welcome. Claircognizance is Janessa's most common, but not her only. Yes. Joni, Chelsea, Shannon, I know you guys are in here. What do you think yours are? And if you're not sure what it's called, if you know the chakras, which chakra center do you think your intuition comes into? I think it comes in through the solar plexus, the heart, third eye, crown, throat chakra. Sometimes identifying which chakra or location that it comes into can be really, really helpful as well for determining what is your most prominent clair. For me, like Janessa, claircognizance is very prominent for me, but I would say clairsentience is probably my primary. So many of you, if you have worked with me, you have probably noticed that I feel the specific sensations within my body. So certainly, like a lot of people who are really good at energetic medical diagnosis, clairsentience is one that they typically have really great access to. Clairsentient, the way I would describe it, is like being an empath but on steroids. And when you move into that clairsentience, unlike empath where you take in, the empathic mode of that psychic clair brings in information for you to get from other people, whereas once you really tap into the clairsentience portion of it, you can extend those feelings outward, or a feeling outward. I love clairsentience. People who are really amazing at clairsentience, you'll never miss them again once you see it. They can walk into a room and shift the entire dynamic without saying a word. These are the people who often use very little words, but they completely shift the entire mood, the feeling, the perception, even decisions of a room. So clairsentience, I think, is really cool. It's not as flowery as something like clairvoyance, right? Like we all want those clairvoyant visions, or mediumship, where you can really see the souls who are crossed over. We really want to have access to those beautiful imagery that we see, you know, in storybooks or in movies of what a typical clairvoyant looks like. But clairvoyance, I think, is one of the most sought after, but also oftentimes the most misunderstood of the psychic gifts. Clairvoyance can show up in so many different ways. It can come in through lucid dreaming. Of course, we all want the beautiful imagery, but another way that you can really access clairvoyance is by asking a question and then seeing the frame, a picture in your head, and watching to see if that imagery goes to black, which would be a no, or white, it gets brighter, which would be a yes. Gray would be somewhere in the middle of a maybe. So there's lots and lots of ways to play with clairvoyance to try to get it to come in more. I wrote down just a few, which I think I got up to 27 different psychic gifts or siddhis. There might be 30 now, that you could have. Many of them you may not even really recognize that you do. Clairsentience would be one of them. I think oftentimes people who are clairsentient often are using that. You'll see them a lot in healthcare professions. You'll see them a lot working with children, teachers of the world. Being able to understand how someone feels from a child's aspect when they may not be able to vocalize it to you. You guys are clairsentient for sure, because you're almost the mind reader, but reading through the sensations of what are the feelings going through a child. So that can show up that way. Clairvoyance, you will see a lot of people who are very clairvoyant being in marketing. So a lot of your individuals who are helping to invest, your investors, and things like that, a lot of them are very, very clairvoyant. They can almost see what's going to happen. They'll see a pattern within numbers. Albert Einstein, super clairvoyant from a number aspect of being able to bring in information by going to sleep and having it come in through lucid dreaming. So he's one of the most probably prominent scientific psychic individuals or intuitives. I personally don't have an attachment to psychic or intuitive, but I know many people do, so I'd love to hear in the chat, what do you prefer? Do you like hearing it called intuitive, or do you enjoy it being called psychic? I'm a little extra, so I'm curious if the other Enneagram 7s like the psychic aspect, or if the more grounded individuals like the term intuitive. So drop in the chat. Laura Marie, clear knowing is claircognizant. And I see intuitive. Why do you like intuitive? I've always wanted insight into this, so those of you who prefer intuitive and those of you who prefer psychic, why? I think intuitive is much more reachable, especially from a more scientific community. I think intuitive is going to reach the masses easier. I think sometimes we get a little bit of a past life traumas probably coming in when we hear psychic. A little bit more fear can center around that. Certainly religion probably doesn't enjoy psychic, so some of those indoctrinations may not prefer psychic, but they can digest intuitive. And Shannon, intuitive feels easier to explain. Yes. Chelsea, psychic, but that's due to doing this in past lives in certain eras. Yeah, and I think there's definitely that past life link too of which one feels more comfortable. Laura, I'm not sure, maybe because that's how it's almost always been said to me, but I'll use either. Yes. Janessa, I think there's a religious component for many where psychic abilities were sinful. Yes. Intuitive, I think, is easier because to me personally, it encompasses all the ways info comes in. I agree. I do think that when we start thinking psychic, all we think are upper chakras. We really think the clairvoyance, the claircognizance, the clairaudience, clairgustance, all of those coming in. Channeling. Bibliomancy is one that came in when I was meditating on this, of one of the gifts of being able to interpret a passage chosen at random from a book. Like you'll get intuitive hits while reading. A lot of you who read books, do you get any psychic or intuitive hits out of that book? Or are you able to see like aha moments? This passage relates to me in this manner. If yes, you're tapping into that bibliomancy, which is coming in through that third eye. And bibliomancy is 100% a gateway into clairvoyance. So you can certainly get an energetic into that too. Chelsea, I feel energetic pulls to words that pop out. Yes. Aha moments. And Laura, when we say aha moments, like another term for that could be deja vu. Deja vu is another form of clairvoyance and claircognizance to an extent that can come in. If you really remember the imagery, you're tapping into clairvoyance through your deja vus. If you are thinking like, oh, I just know what's going to happen next, that's much more the claircognizance. That's that inner knowing. That's one that I use a lot as well. Clairgustance is one that's interesting to me, and I haven't noticed a ton of people that state they have it, but the ability to psychically taste what isn't physically present. So I'll have some of those aha moments come in through clairgustance, but it hits my sense of smell first, which is clairaudience. So you almost have that remembering, like my grandmother's cabbage casserole. I'll get a hint somewhere, smell it, and then I taste it. And then it's a reflection of, you know, what scenario with her is ready for healing, what scenario is ready to be worked, what pattern comes up. So it can kind of be a chain reaction to get you to a place that you're comfortable in. Like, where do you center in? I very much center in clairsentience. That internal, like, what is the feeling? What is the bodily sensations that are happening? You guys who have followed me will notice I cough often and a lot. It's a connection to the energetics. It's actually an energetic sign that comes in for me too. So you'll see that, especially within sessions. If any of you have had sessions with me, if I'm not on mute, you will notice oftentimes there is a coughing sensation when there's a heavy moving energy flowing out. That's because I am highly synced up with that clairsentience and what's going on with that energetic movement. The physical senses can be nuts to experience in a non-physical way. Yes. One thing that is really, really important when we start talking about intuition, psychic clairs, do you guys ever get that sense of, ooh, I wonder if this is accurate? I wonder where this information is coming from, or do you sometimes just have a difficult time trusting the information? Drop in the chat yes or no if that's you. I know it's true for me, or was, prior to really kind of seeking up. When I start talking about intuition or psychic gifts, it's like being an athlete. If you don't flex the muscle, it doesn't get stronger. It doesn't get more on point. So you have to keep going. Even if you don't feel like the answers coming in are accurate, especially if we're doing muscle testing or pendulum, keep building the sensation. Keep building the technique. Build that muscle memory within those intuitive gifts to get it to work. I am all about journaling and logging information. It comes from my scientific background, probably, of really wanting to track. I like to track. I like to see the information and how it's flowing and moving. When you start to do that, you'll find a synchronicity of when I feel the information come in from, for instance, the right side of your body. If you feel it come in from the right side and those answers are accurate, pay attention to that. because then if you start to feel it come in from the left side, and this isn't true for everybody, but there are different ways that this can come in. This isn't a one size fits all though. If you start to track the messages that are coming in from that left side, and those are inaccurate, you'll instantly know that messages from the light source, your higher self, come in from the right. External verbiage comes in from the left. You can dump that because it's interference. It's not actually information that's meant for you. But you would miss that if you're not logging or paying attention. For me, I know that when things come down from the top and they drop into my heart, then I get an answer. Those are accurate. The ones that short circuit and come out through the throat, or I think it doesn't even make it to the throat before I get there, those sometimes can be a 50-50 odds because I didn't let it transfer down into that God spot, which is within that heart chakra. So you'll begin to see what fits you. Also, within that free workshop that Janessa and I are doing on the 14th, which I have the link tagged in the top, I will drop it in the chat though as well. We're going to help you decipher some of this, of where do your messages come in and what is the best fit for you. It's totally free, no attachments to anything with that. We want you to really start to have access to your intuition in a manner that gets you the results that you're looking for. We want accuracy, right? Joni, I just kind of take it and hold it until it fits. It will always fit. Yeah. I get a terrible feeling before someone I know passes. That foreboding can certainly come in. That could be clairsentience, could also be claircognizance, Margaret. If your messages are coming in a manner that you don't love, for instance, I saw the tsunamis happen in a very clairvoyant way through dreaming. I do not want to see actual events like that I can't have an impact on. So that is where I worked with my gatekeeper to filter how I receive my messages, because I want to receive intuition and messages in a manner that allows me to create change and not just ones that create that foreboding. If it's not something I can have an impact or correct, I don't want to see it. If it doesn't help in some way, I don't want to see it. I don't need imagery or messages like that. And working with this individual gatekeeper, or a couple of them, some people have multiple, I have 4, can really help you filter. They're essentially the filters that release some of the information in a manner that, 1, you can understand it, but 2, information that doesn't serve you just isn't going to make it to you in a manner that you can tap into. We do this through connecting in with the God spot and then really coming to a place where we request the gatekeeper to serve as our main point of contact along any of our intuitive or psychic journeys. The gatekeepers really bring in and assure safety. They provide data. They help us on our journeys if we're doing astral traveling or shamanic journeys. They can bring you energy. They can bring you plant medicine. They can bring in crystal energies that you need. Like, they're essentially your assistants. They're your assistants in the intuitive land. They're also going to filter out the information that isn't meant for you, isn't from the light, and doesn't serve. Setting up a gatekeeper or a system of gatekeepers within your intuition really, really helps to ensure that you are coming in and getting information that is of the light. We don't want those interference or the information that isn't serving the greater good. And the gatekeeper will ensure that we don't have that information coming in. I'm going to provide you with a journey to set up your gatekeepers within that free workshop. So not just are you going to get how to find the way your intuition comes in, you're also going to really get within that workshop your individual gatekeeper set up too. Everyone who has the Stronger Together membership will have access to this workshop indefinitely, as long as they have that Stronger Together membership active to be able to go in. And if you need to switch out gatekeepers, get more, you can always go back to that workshop then and get or swap out gatekeepers, because sometimes we outgrow it. Sometimes we outgrow the ones that we have and we need new ones to come in and refresh that energy. So that's what we're going to do within that individual workshop, but I wanted to introduce it to you here tonight. Have any of you heard of gatekeepers or work with them currently? Let me know in the chat. Do you have gatekeepers or work with them right now? Nicola, welcome. I feel like gatekeepers are one of the first steps for any intuitives to really keep them safe and also make sure that they gain the trust within their intuition and their intuitive gifts. So we really want to provide that to the community so that you guys have that going forward. So that's why we're offering it in that free platform as well. What other psychic gifts have you guys heard of? What else have you heard of? We've gone through a couple. Clairaudience, of course, is the ability to hear messages and bring them in. Astral projection, I'm sure many of you have heard of that too, where you have the out-of-body travel. Lucid dreaming can often come into astral travel, or even where you're shamanic journeying at night as well. Janessa, I've heard of them from psychics who use them to only let one solar entity to bring messages through at one time for gallery readings. Yes. You will see that. Thank you for dropping that. You will see that a lot in mediums who are setting up essentially the filter. That's really what it is a filter to ensure that what comes in is supposed to come in. And yes, mediums do this a ton. I think that the rest of us should get on board with having them too, though, so that our intuition is on point, but in a safe manner too. Yeah, Joni, so like when you get that gut punch, like you can shift that. Like instead of it feeling like a gut punch, the gatekeeper can often filter it for you so that you're notified in a different manner. Some people set up different checks and balances. Like instead of a gut punch, I would like to see a blue jay. And I know that the blue jay means this. So you can really help to set those parameters and those boundaries with your gatekeepers for them to ensure that the lines are working like they should, or that you're receiving intuitive information when you want to and aren't overloaded by it. Oftentimes intuitives get bombarded with information to where they can't even settle their mind. I'm a firm believer that lots of ADD, ADHD diagnoses are probably intuitives getting tons and tons of information coming in all the time, and they don't have the gatekeeper filtration system set up to slow it down. Of course, I'm not a medical doctor, so this is all metaphysical advice. Definitely, if you are experiencing any of those medical symptoms, you should totally work with your doctor to ensure that all holistic therapies are safe for you. That's just my interpretation on how a lot of those energetics can come into play as well. Joni, I follow a woman that channels people that have passed, and she has Whitehall, her guide. Yeah, you'll see that from a lot of people where they have names, and perhaps yours will have names as well. One of mine does, the rest of them don't. But yeah, you'll see that come in a lot. Chiromancy is palmistry. So you'll see like a lot of the palm readers are tapping into chiromancy. And that is one of them that actually works with the 10th chakra, which comes out from the hands, where it's extending energy from there. There's so many. When I sat down to list, I was like, holy cow, like I didn't even think there were this many. Horoscopy, the interpretation of astrological horoscopes, hydromancy, divining by observing changes in water, hypnosis. So a lot of our psychotherapists coming into play, they're using hypnosis techniques, past life regression. They're tapping into that specific gift. Of course, intuition is kind of that catch-all word that's used to manage, or that we use to manage all of the psychic gifts kind of coming together. Prophecy, knowledge of divine will, precognition, ability to foretell the future, psychometry, gaining knowledge through touching objects, pyrokinesis, sparking fire with the mind, scrying, using an object to see psychically. Of course, then you have your tarot reading and things like that as well. There's so many though. Transfiguration, superimposition of a face on a medium. Like there are a ton that we don't even think of. Many we don't see a lot of, right? Like telekinesis. I would love to have that. My uncle had telekinesis, and I unfortunately didn't get it passed down to me through the family line. But it's becoming so much more accepted in the general population that you're seeing people kind of come out with this more, instead of really sitting within that space of, I'm weird, I'm not, this isn't normal, and then having a lot of those possibly depression, anxiety, different diagnoses coming in with that too, just because it just wasn't wasn't accepted a while ago, and now it's almost like everybody wants this and wants to be able to show it. So I'm really excited for our future generations, because this is just so much more accepting, to where we're going to see a lot more of the intuitives coming out of the framework and really connecting into general society and not hiding what they can do. Geomancy is another one, shifting the environment to bring about desired effects. What else did I write down? Levitation, Lobonomancy, interpreting shapes and smoke, mediumship, of course, I can never pronounce this one, megagnomy, use of psychic ability while in a hypnotic state. You'll see that a lot with a lot of shamans, where they enter a hypnosis state and get a ton of information coming out of it. So there is a plethora of this. This list that I've typed up, I'm going to drop it in the Stronger Together group, so that you guys have the whole list of some of these that come down as well. But I really hope that you'll each join us for that free workshop that we have on March 14th to really establish the gatekeepers and also help you find the way your direct line of messaging comes in. Does it come in directly from your heart? Does it come in from the left or the right? Where is all of it coming in? We really want you to have that. So hopefully you'll all join us. Do you guys have any questions for me? Any questions about your gifts? Accessing them? Or anything, really? Give you just a couple moments with that. But I just want to reiterate, like, these are muscles that you have to flex. You have to exercise it to get it on point. So try again. Don't give up on the muscle testing or the pendulum or any of your psychic gifts. The more you try, the more you document, the more you learn, the more you can reproduce the results. So I'm not seeing any questions coming in about this. So with that, I'm going to let you all go tonight. Hopefully we'll see you all on March 14th. We also have the next radio show tomorrow where Janessa and I will be on together. So join us at 5 p.m. Central Time to talk about that as well. And then Thursday is our next Stronger Together call. Still time to sign up for that as well. If you guys are ready to take that leap and really prioritize you, that next round begins begins Thursday. And within the Stronger Together this month, we are focusing on intuition as well. So you're going to get even more information on how to process your intuitive gifts for you, how to amplify them, and just bring them in more directly as well to a place where it's comfortable, it's safe, and it's effective. So with that, universal blessings, everyone, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your night.